first playoff game, wild card round, Rams hang on and survive against the Panthers. It looked like it was going the path of a dominant win, but the Rams, as I said in the preview, what they had to look out for, what they didn't want to have happen was don't let the Panthers hang around. Don't let them get comfortable. Don't give them any confidence. Don't give them any momentum at home. And they did, and the Rams almost lost this game. Final box score looks pretty good for Matthew Stafford outside the completion percentage. He didn't have a good game. I mean, he struggled after his fast start. I don't think Sean McVay had a great game. And Bryce Young actually gave the Rams defense some trouble with his mobility, escapability. Some of the young receivers stepped up for the Panthers. The Rams hold on and win, but they didn't come into these playoffs exactly playing their best football. And they're still not playing their best football, considering you almost lost to the Carolina Panthers, who, in many reasons, didn't even deserve to be in the playoffs. They really aren't a playoff team. They're better, yes, but when you have a losing record, ugh. I almost wish we would take the team with the next best record. If you have a sub 500 record, then you forfeit your playoff spot, or some rule where then either you forfeit your playoff spot. I know they want the divisions to be meaningful, or you forfeit the home game. You make it in, but you don't make it in with a home game. The Rams win, but you can't feel good about it. And they're going to have a much, much more difficult game next week. The game we really want to talk about is the night game, Packers and Bears. I really enjoyed the Amazon broadcast. I know Al Michaels isn't what he used to be, but you still gotta love hearing that voice. It's a very clean broadcast. There's less commercials. I'm all for Amazon. I don't know about these other streaming services, but I'm all for Amazon having more games. The Packers. You controlled the first half, and then you laid an egg in the third quarter. You knew the Bears were not a good first quarter team. They are a fourth quarter team. You even saw during halftime the Micah Parsons tweet saying, we got to keep these guys down. We know they're a fourth quarter team. I mean, everyone knows that, but they didn't do it. The third quarter, they took their foot off the gas. Yeah, the Bears made adjustments. They did. But the Packers failed to make adjustments themselves. I mean, you look at this in two ways. It was the best comeback win the Bears have ever had in postseason history, yes, but it was also a terrible collapse by the Green Bay Packers. Let's look at the scores by order. The Packers outscored the Bears 21-3 in the first half. And the Packers only scored 6 points in the second half. They were shut out in the third quarter. The fourth quarter, they had 6 points. And in the second half, the Bears outscored the Packers 28-6. And in the fourth specifically, 25-6 to win 31-27. Special teams, though, McManus missing those 2 kicks, field goal, the extra point, that was 4 points right there that would make it a 31-31 game. Getting to Caleb Williams, that pass on fourth down was one of the great plays you're going to see from a quarterback. I don't know how many quarterbacks. I was sitting there saying, I don't know if Mahomes could make that play. to get that much velocity moving out to his weak side left, throwing away from his body and his strong side, the momentum of his body, and to make that pass and put that much velocity on it was amazing. They clamped down on defense. They made big plays, and I just think the Bears in the first half were overly aggressive. They really abandoned the run for a lot of the game, and they're looking to make too many big plays. That's something they could do a better job of. But the Packers couldn't get any stops. I mean, the first half, the Bears had no answers for the Packers offense. Love threw 3 touchdowns in the first half. Very quiet second half. Not much on the ground for Green Bay. Jacobs was held to 55 yards rushing, as neither team actually ran for 100 yards. I see the Packers ran for 99, 4.3 yards a carry, and the Bears 93 yards, 3.3 yards. But the mobility of, we talked about the mobility of Bryce Young earlier, the mobility of Caleb Williams gave the Packers all kinds of problems, and boy, did they miss Micah Parsons. There were a lot of reasons to be concerned about the Packers defense coming in, and it's not that Parsons just fixes everything. He doesn't, but they did not have that consistent pressure, and they did not have enough speed to get to Caleb Williams in the second half. And the Packers had their opportunities. They had that opportunity in the third quarter. Just get some points and just put this game further out of reach, and they could not do it. And the Bears defense, they only got 1 sack. Both teams had 1 sack only. It was an unforgettable game, especially if you're a Bears fan. It was a heartbreaker if you're a Packers fan. And as I said in the preview, this was actually only the 3rd time they've ever played each other in the playoffs, the Packers and Bears. Ever. The 3rd time. And hey, most of my life, whether it be Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers, the Packers dominated the Bears. I mean, they had the song "The Bears Still Suck," the Packers. That's what the story was between these two teams for a very, very long time. The Packers won the conference championship game in 2010 on their way their last Super Bowl, their 4th Super Bowl. That was the last time they played each other. This was a very big win. And I think there's a lot of questions about the Packers. We'll get to that in a moment. The Bears advance, and they will host a home game in the second round, in the divisional round. How good was it to be outside? It is so sad the Bears want to move indoors. That environment was incredible. The atmosphere, incredible. Out in the elements, the cold. That's what playoff football is supposed to be, man. I love it. You want to go to some indoor, soulless stadium? Really upsets me. But both games were so close. Both games were outside. Both games were, almost seemed a little, you have to raise an eyebrow and wonder when things get a little fishy when both games came right down the end when it looked like both teams were going to dominate, that being the Rams and that being the Packers. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know if anyone else feels that way with ratings having to be so important, have so many eyes on these games. It seemed like there were a lot of flags in the second half on the Packers too that put them in 1st and long. Just saying. Seemed like maybe there's a little officiating that went in favor of getting the Bears back into it. I didn't say these games are fixed. I'm not saying that. But you do wonder sometimes how much the officiating helps to get some of these games closer and more competitive when it looks like it's going in the wrong direction. I mean, could Amazon afford to have a one-sided game with all the money they've spent to get this playoff game? I don't think so. But with all that said, the Bears, congratulations. Caleb Williams in that offense. Ben Johnson did not have a great game coaching, but they coached better, played much better in the second half. They ultimately deserved to win, and they did win. While the Packers, they got sloppy in the second half. I mean, Josh Jacobs, the fumble on the kick return. Why is he returning kicks? I don't know. But the Bears have a good thing going. They're a dangerous team. No one really wants to play them right now. They're used to playing in pressure situations. They seem to thrive in pressure situations. They can handle the pressure, but the opponent will be much harder. Right? You figure that it's not gonna be the Packers, with all due respect to the Packers. Where the Packers go from here? I like Jordan Love, but I don't love Jordan Love as a quarterback. At times, he does look like one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He has so much arm talent. He's mobile, not like Caleb Williams mobile, but he moves well. He throws beautiful passes. But can he win big games? I don't know. He's not Favre. He's not Rodgers. He's very talented. I have my questions. I have my doubts about Jordan Love. And that defense, you saw what that defense is without Micah Parsons. It's just average, middle of the road, mediocre. Even with him, it's not great. It's better. And then Matt LaFleur. I wonder if he's coached his last game in Green Bay. There have been a lot of disappointments, whether you talk about the 19 championship game, the 20 championship game, the exit against the Eagles. I mean, that was expected. They were overmatched by the Eagles last year. The Eagles were a juggernaut last year. But to lose against the Bears in this fashion, bad look. And there have been a lot of losses for Matt LaFleur in the playoffs. To the Sunday games. I was looking forward to Jaguars Bills more than any game on paper, and it was a very close game. The Bills got it done. Josh Allen played a tough game, clearly hurt. He took some big shots in this game, and he had to carry the Bills. He has to carry the Bills all the way through if they're going to make it, and that is still going to be a very tall task. Also credit the Bills defense. They stepped up and made some big plays on the road. And they're just going to have to continue to play very well football, very good football, because it could be very likely they will need to go through both the Broncos and the Patriots to reach the Super Bowl. It's going to be a very difficult road for the Bills, but they have the best player in the NFL. Jaguars played a good game. They just made a couple of too many mistakes, and they did run into the best quarterback in the NFL. They're definitely going in the right direction. I know it's sort of cliche and, oh, this team's going to be good for years, but they have the right quarterback, and that is so much of it. I don't know if Lawrence is ever going to live up to all the hype that was around him. Oh, he's one of the best draft prospects ever, but he does have the complete package. He's been in the playoffs more than once. Leader He's got intangibles. He can make every throw. He's a good athlete. He's proven he can win, and he's still young. Team's just a piece or two away from being a legitimate Super Bowl team, but they're close. They're close. I was picking the Jaguars, but this was a tough game to choose the winner for. 49ers and Eagles. Yeah, I had a team in this game, being a 49ers fan, being a longtime 49ers fan, and I can't ever remember the 49ers having to overcome more adversity, more injuries at any point to win a game, especially against a team such as the Eagles, who, while they didn't have their best season, is still an extremely talented team. They were the defending Super Bowl champions. They have Sirianni as the head coach. They have Vic Fangio as the defensive coordinator. You have to respect that and all the success that there's been in Philadelphia now for these years with Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. And the 49ers wanted it more. They were far better prepared. They played better. They were tougher. And although Purdy threw some interceptions, he did outplay Jalen Hurts. And it was, in a way, somewhat of a revenge game. It didn't make up for everything that was lost in that NFC Championship game in 22, but it was the most unexpected win of the weekend, considering that, and how they just kept moving forward even with the George Kittle Achilles tear that we know was confirmed. And it was a tough loss because he is the energy of the team. He is the emotional leader of the team. The team feeds off of him. I mean, he's arguably my favorite 49er ever. And that's saying something, considering all the Hall of Fame players there has been coming through San Francisco and Santa Clara just in the last 30 years. They overcame them, and they won a close, cold game in Philadelphia. Brock Purdy just keeps winning, 5-2. It's amazing when you think about those quarterbacks, going back to the Jaguars and the draft with Trevor Lawrence, and you're thinking about all those quarterbacks in that draft. Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields. Well, who is the second best quarterback in that draft? Mac Jones. Mac Jones is the second best quarterback in the draft, and he's a legit backup quarterback. But Brock Purdy is just a flat out winner. The draft, it's all about this. It's about the size. It's about the speed. It's about just the athleticism. You think about a quarterback like Anthony Richardson, for instance. Oh, he just hits every mark, checks off every box when it comes to the measurables in the draft. But can he play quarterback? No. Brock Purdy, 6 feet at the most. He can play quarterback. He can read defenses. He has intangibles. And the man flat out wins. Fifth playoff win. It was one of the better playoff wins the 49ers have ever had that wasn't a Super Bowl or a championship game. It was a big time wild card game when you have the 49ers and the Eagles. And the Eagles, what a disappointing season. Things just never were right there in Philadelphia, and we'll see what happens there. Kyle Shanahan, best coach season of his career. his ninth career playoff one, 9-4 in the playoffs. 49ers advance. They'll be playing Seattle again. Now to the evening game, Patriots and Chargers. This was the one game, the two last games were the games, the Sunday night and Monday night, that weren't close. And this was a very low scoring game in New England, and the team we thought would win did in fact win. Justin Herbert still seeking that first playoff win, did not get it. They did not even get a touchdown in New England. And while it wasn't the cleanest game for the Patriots and Drake May, he did plenty to prove that this is a dangerous team, and this is a team that isn't just happy to be in the playoffs. They could very well reach the Super Bowl. I'm not going to say what Tony Romo said a few weeks ago on a CBS broadcast. He said, "They're back." Back means, we joke about this all the time, my brother and I. Back means you don't just get to a Super Bowl, even you win a Super Bowl. Back means that you're going to be a dynasty again. I think we can give it some time before we say the Patriots are back. They're a very impressive team. It won. Can't say enough about what Mike Vrabel's done. He really should have always been the head coach. I didn't understand the Mayo hire. Thought this should have happened a while back, but he's where he should be now. And Daniels is where he should be too. Not a head coach, not a head coaching material, but a great offensive coordinator. And there's nothing to be ashamed about that, being a great offense coordinator. You think of others like that, such as Norv Turner. Couldn't get it done as a head coach. Okay. Great coordinator, great play caller. Oh, yeah. And for the Chargers, they can't make it past the wild card round again. That was a hard watch with the Texans last year, hard watch for them, and hard game again this year. The offensive line, I mean, I don't know what you could do about it, losing your two best linemen, your two best tackles, but you couldn't even get in the end zone. I'm a Jim Harbaugh fan. Jim Harbaugh was the 49ers coach for 4 years. They were at least 3 out of 4 years were great years and unforgettable years, even though we didn't win a Super Bowl. He's a very good head coach, but the same question that you ask about Kyle Shanahan is also true about Jim Harbaugh. You know you're going to get to the playoffs, but can you win the big one? Well, Shanahan came closer than Harbaugh, but sometimes I wonder about Jim Harbaugh. There's still questions about him. I mean, he's going to have more time. He's got more seasons in Los Angeles, and same with Justin Herbert. But you wonder about both of them. How far can you go with those two? Well, at least having an offensive line will help, right? You can't have an injured line 2 years in a row like that, right? At least you'd hope you would. The Chargers will remain a team in the mix. Okay, final game, because this is just quick shots, quick takes about these games. This is not in-depth summary. The Texans defense, man, the offense looked, they struggled. The Texans offense, especially in the first half, they struggled. It wasn't pretty, but that defense is the real deal. That defense gets after you. That defense hits. That defense is physical. And it was a tough night for Aaron Rodgers. It was a tough night for the Steelers. And how many times do you see the Steelers get beat up and manhandled over the years like that on their own field in the playoffs? But the Steelers aren't very good anymore. The Steelers are just a team that just gets in the playoffs. They're not a Super Bowl team. They haven't been a Super Bowl team and a real Super Bowl contender in years. They're not the tough, defensive, physical team they once were. That's a distant memory And the Texans defense dominated. It's a defense that can travel. And if you're the other teams looking around the AFC, you have cause for concern going up against the Texans. That sent a message to the rest of the AFC. A game like that. And for the Steelers, it seems, we don't know yet, it seems that that could be it for Aaron Rodgers. That may have been his final game in the NFL. If it was, that's a hard way to go out. Possibly your final game in the NFL through all those seasons. 20 plus year career for Aaron Rodgers. And you can't even get a touchdown. Can't even get a touchdown. And that's it, if it is it. And the Steelers really need to reset and blow it up. I mean, you need to bottom out eventually, or you're just going to stay in this kind of mediocre state. If you're content with just making in the playoffs every year, we had the same. I said the same exact things last year about the Steelers, and it rings true again. If you're just content with making the playoffs, then I suppose you could keep doing that. But they are far from being, I think, even a team that would even get in the title game. Forget about the Super Bowl. They'd have to have massive improvements just to get to that point. And you just think about even TJ Watt is probably past his prime now, is getting more injured. He's been the best player on the team. Hayward, he could retire, certainly. There's not a lot left on this aging Steelers team. So this could have been Aaron Rodgers' final game of his career. And it could have possibly been Mike Tomlin's final game coaching for the Steelers. My gut says he's going to come back. That's what I expect. He'll come back. But he is a very good coach. He is not a great coach. And I would even say at this point, he's more of a good coach. Just above average coach, not a great coach. I mean, I think you had to question whether Mike Tomlin was ever actually a great coach. He's always seemed somewhat overrated to me. Yeah, the career wins, extremely impressive. The winning percentage, yes. All the consecutive playoff appearances, okay. He has an 8-12 career playoff record now. 8-12. Can anyone remember the last time the Steelers won a playoff game without looking, who isn't a Steelers fan? That was 2016 was the last time the Steelers won a playoff game. We're talking about 10 seasons without winning a playoff game. I mean, people make jokes about Kyle Shanahan. Oh, he can't win the big one, all this stuff. Kyle Shanahan already has more career playoff wins than Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin was handed a great team when you have other coaches like McVay and Shanahan who had built it up from nothing. I don't know. I think the Steelers should move on. I just don't see them doing it. And then getting back to Rodgers. If this is indeed the end for Aaron Rodgers, people have forgotten how great of a quarterback he was. I'd put him in my top 5 all time. And The one Super Bowl appearance he had, the one Super Bowl win he had as a Super Bowl MVP, he carved up Mike Tomlin's defense when they were a very good team, the Steelers. A true Super Bowl team. Rodgers was one of the best all-around quarterbacks and just pure throwers of football we've ever seen. People have short memories and they forget how great Rodgers was in his prime. A lot of playoff disappointment. Yes, a lot of playoff disappointment. But easily one of the best of all time. I mean, if anything was unfortunate for Rodgers, really was the timing of his career because almost his entire career overlapped with Tom Brady. The greatest to ever do it. He also played the same time as Peyton Manning. His longevity, his statistics, all the awards he won, the accolades. Rodgers is one of my favorite players to ever watch, and the league, if he does retire, will be different. And admit it, you'll miss him. I'll miss him.